I shared a chicken information video a couple days ago, and I'm heading out to feed the chickens this morning, and I was just thinking about some other stuff that I forgot to mention, and I'll probably forget to mention even more this time, but did you know that it takes 4 or 5 months to get an egg from a chicken? They start laying anywhere in between 16 and 20 weeks. Also, pullet eggs, the first eggs that the chicken lays, are smaller and their eggshell color is vibrant. It's beautiful. Blue eggers lay gorgeous blue eggs, which eventually usually tone down to like a really light white blue, but their first eggs for probably the first 3 to 5 months are gorgeous. It takes 21 days to incubate an egg, to go from fertilized egg to baby chick. Sometimes a little more or a little less. Sometimes they'll come on day 20. Some days they'll come on day 23. I always give it 3 days to 4 days after to make sure no more are coming out before I end up hucking the eggs that are unhatched. I always bury them in a hole so that other critters aren't attracted to come around and try to get a taste of some chicken and then decide that they want to stick around to eat the rest. As much as chickens poop all over everything, they're actually pretty particular about wanting clean nesting boxes. Not that they won't poop in them, just that they like to lay their eggs in clean, fluffy nesting boxes. A chicken mama will turn her eggs 3 to 4 times a day while she sits on them in her incubating period. Feeding the baby before we head home from Lowe's, but I just thought of another chicken thing because somebody messaged me with a question. When you're gonna wait, you can collect eggs for, I would say, up to 3 days. They say 5, but I think there's less of a chance of incubation or being able for them to follow through with their gestational period after 3 days. I think you have up to 3 days. And you'll have a good rate of chickens. When you're gonna wait that long and you get your first day eggs and you're gonna wait till the second day and then you're gonna get the second day eggs and then you're gonna wait till the third day, put them in containers in the egg cartons and then try to every 6 hours or at least twice a day flip them. So put them in right side up and then after 6 or 7 hours flip them and have the carton upside down. And then wait 6 hours or so and flip them again so that it's back right side up. And then the next day do the same thing and keep doing that until you put them in the incubator, because most incubators do that automatically. You do have some that you'll have to open up. I would suggest getting the ones that do it automatically because it's really hard to remember that you need to do something every 6 hours. And if you forget, then they're not gonna incubate right. It is hot out there. It's 100 degrees and I'm in the shade. It was 110 earlier. Okay, well, I'll let you know when I think of the next thing. Did you know that there really is a pecking order, and that when the chickens go to roost at night, they'll roost in order of most dominant on top, and then the ones who are not so much are on the bottom. And chickens tend to hang out with their own kind. Like if you have a bunch of white chickens, they'll hang out together, and a bunch of Rhode Island Reds or any blue chickens, they'll all hang out together. They tend to hang out with their own kind. More chicken information. So over the past couple days, I've been having people send me videos and clips and pictures and saying, what's wrong with my chicken? Do you have any idea what this could be? And can you come over and help me? I really enjoy it. I've liked coming and checking out everybody's setups and visiting with their chickens and all that fun stuff. But I would like to say it's hard, not being there, to be able to tell what's going on with just short clips and not being actually to like see the chicken, look at the chicken. not know what's going on or what has gone on, and also the personalities, because my little guy, the rooster with the long tail who's allowed out and out most of the time, he does this thing where he'll whip his head like this. And if somebody said, you know, something's wrong with my chicken, it's doing this, you know, that's a normal thing for my chicken. But that's what he does when he sees something in your hand and he wants you to give him a treat. He'll bob his head like this or thrash it like this. And I mean, people would be like, oh, what's wrong with that chicken? Well, if I didn't know, I'd be like, oh, it has a neurological disorder. The chicken's not supposed to do that. But knowing his personality, I know that's what he does. So it is harder on things like that. But I would like to say that in the last couple of days and posts about sick chickens, usually if your chicken is lethargic and laying around, it's most of the time a disease. It can be, no, most of the time it's a disease. Like the start of Merrick's disease, they get like one leg paralysis and then they just start to get paralyzed, and a lot of their diseases are like that, or I forget what the one's called, but their respiratory disease where they get like snotty noses and like labored breathing mucusy stuff. They sometimes get lethargic with that because they have trouble breathing, so they get kind of like, I need to lay down. And so lethargy usually is disease or sickness. Now, if they're doing something weird with their head, or they're like twisting their neck, or they're losing their balance and they can't stand up, that's neurological. That's something that's usually a deficiency, which some of the diseases can be deficiency too. It's a very important thing to make sure that your birds have the vitamins they need. I had a sick bird this weekend who unfortunately only got worse. So we culled her. She was one of our new babies. People kept saying Merrick's disease, but I mean, I don't think that's it. We have around 60 chickens and no one else was showing any signs. And this happened last year around this time. It got really hot, it got summertime, and one of our chickens went down, and it started the same way. One leg went paralyzed, and then the other leg went paralyzed, and then she wouldn't move her wings, and all of a sudden she's like trying to crawl around and like flop around, and it's just, it doesn't get any better, and I'm not quite sure what it is. So quality of life, we go ahead and call them, because we can't risk, if it is Merrick's disease, exposing the rest of the flock. But we do take them inside and give them a little bed next to my bed so I can watch them, and we give them scrambled eggs and yogurt and electrolytes and make sure that they're doing well and they're in a nice cool spot so they're not overheating, and that they're comfy and they have their own little nest to snuggle in and make them comfy. And usually chickens get sick and go downhill fast, so it's 24 to 48 hours before it's either noticeably better or noticeably worse. And then it's up to you to decide how you like to handle it, whether you're gonna end it suffering and cull it, or if you're the type of person to let nature run its course and just let it happen the way it's gonna happen. And that's perfectly fine. That's all up to you. I can't watch things suffer, and thankfully my husband's there to help me with that. So, but I just wanted to say that those two things, if you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your chicken, balance, weird head bobbles, falling over, usually neurological, lethargy, mopiness, just like laying down with its head down is usually a deficiency or a disease. Okay. Did you know that you need to have oyster shells or some kind of calcium for chickens? That way they can have it for their shells. If their shells go soft or leathery or have holes, it's good to have it out, but you should always have it out, because if they don't have the calcium they need to make their eggs, they'll take it from their bones. can sit on the counter unwashed for 4 to 6 weeks, and that's because they're covered in what's called the bloom, which is what is on the egg when the hen lays it to keep it from rotting while she sits on it to incubate it. So they're good for about that time. So 4 months on the counter, unrefrigerated if you don't wash it. When you wash it, it has to go directly into the fridge.